we did things the right way. And so I was at peace. I didn't have anything to hide. Maybe we could have won more games, and maybe I could have I know I could have done a better job coaching, but we didn't cheat. That's probably the thing I was at most at peace with, that I could, if I had to retire, I was okay with it because I feel like the integrity of my family name was intact.
Coach, coming from UCLA, obviously they're an NIL collective. You know what Chase, Griffin, and other guys have been doing outstanding. So what did you kind of take from that, and how you plan on kind of implementing that at San Jose State, since it's in the Bay Area, it's a lot of tech money up there. How's that process been for you?
I learned a lot from him. I didn't realize you knew him. Chase is awesome young man, but learned a lot from him, learned a lot about the NIL. And to be honest, I didn't realize that last year was the best job that I could ever have to get me prepared for this job. Being at UCLA last year was awesome for me, learning from Chip Kelly. I got to sit back and watch how he handled the portal, watch how we did NIL, or just all of it, just recruiting, just how we did everything. And watching guys like Chase, did things. I still remember there's one meeting that he was coming a little bit late to, and I'm like, where you been? And he was meeting with some bankers. Just in Los Angeles. And I said, man, that was awesome. I said, well, you're going to be the owner of the Rams, and when you get older. But those kind of opportunities for the players is awesome. There's some other stuff in NIL. Those that have more money than us is gonna be a little bit difficult to contend with. But we'll offer whatever we have to help these guys the best we can. But we have what we have. If we have a one-car garage, and there might be some other guys with 4-car garages. If we can't increase our garage, we can't, and we just try to make our one-car garages as nice as it can be.
From your experience, how do you kind of toe the line of making sure this team has, a certain character about itself, before and after adversity hits? But like, as far as the identity of the team, with, you've had Navy, you know what it means to be disciplined and all that. So how do you kind of balance what this team is and what its character and identity needs to be?
Yeah, there's no balance in that. There's no balance in character. You hold people accountable. I'm a firm believer that just part of leadership is you hold people accountable. With that said, I don't believe you have to MF kids to coach them hard. I've been doing this a long time, and some of the greatest compliments I got as a head coach were people coming like, hey man, coach, I've been to a lot of practices, but I haven't been to a practice where I didn't hear a bunch of F-bombs. Probably one of the greatest compliments I feel like I've ever gotten. And so character is character. You make sure guys do what they're supposed to, be where they're supposed to be, wear what they're supposed to be on time. And that part of it, like people are asking what are stuff you can take from Navy, and they talk about the offense, stuff like that. Those are the kind of things that just being a team that is tough, gritty, hard-nosed, then we're going to be a hard out. I saw we were ranked, which is awesome, but I can guarantee we're going to be a hard out. You know what I mean? And just we're going to be a team that's going to come and fight you tooth and nail to the end. And so all those things about character, towing the line, those are things that I would never compromise on. Because I feel like those are things not only will help these guys be better players, but it's going to help you in life. If you don't pay your power, you're going to turn off your power. You know what I mean? And it's your power. So helping these guys recognize rules and being on time, doing these things. Sometimes they don't recognize why we're doing it. Yes, it's helped us to be accountable and win games, but it also helps you in life to do things right.
Is there an identity shift?
So I got a couple of questions. First one is, obviously you haven't played Wyoming in a while. I know you were involved with UNLV, so it's probably been a while. What do you expect to bring to Wyoming this year, being a new head coach at San Jose State?
Well, I played there a few times, at UNLV and at Hawaii. That's a tough place to play. And so that's going to be a tough place. Craig did a great job there. Jay's going to do a great job there too. And so anybody in this league that knows anything about the Mountain West will tell you how tough a place and how tough a team Wyoming is year in and year out.
So my second part of that question is, what do you plan on doing to, obviously a 7220 altitude, the highest FBS stadium in the country. What do you do to prepare going from San Jose up to that over a mile above where you guys train at?
Believe me, I was at Navy for many years, and we had the same thing with Air Force. So I tried everything, tried everything, and just all the different things. Leave a certain time, leave there, hydrate, take these pills, and just we just try to do the best we can. I mean, I don't think you can prepare for it. You just do the best you can. You just go there and play as hard as you can. And, I mean, if the altitude is altitude, and it is tough. It's hard, and so I found over the years that when against Air Force, when we had a good team, we were able to win. When we weren't, we didn't win. But that environment is tough. It's a tough environment.
Thank you.
Coach, speaking of strategy, you mentioned Craig coming in with his offense and you kind of ceding to him. How much of your prolific option attack might you sprinkle in?
Unless he wants to. It's up to him.
Okay.
But I'm not going to tell him because what I don't want to do is I don't want to give him so much things. It's kind of like this guy has this great recipe. I don't want to start adding, I don't want to add furikake when just don't put any of that. Just stay away from his menu. You know what I mean? So I'm going to allow him to do things. But if he asks, hey coach, I saw you did this. What about this? And then I'll tell him that. But I don't want to mess with his deal. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing, and I don't want to mess with it. He has a good recipe.
Okay. And my last question, you mentioned, being a head coach, you're more of a CEO, not just X's and O's. When along your coaching journey did you realize that and embrace it, as opposed to some coaches who are kind of anti that?
Yeah, I don't know for other people, but I feel like that's always been part of the job. You wear so many hats. I mean, sometimes somebody's coming in there, you're talking football, somebody's coming here, broke up with his girlfriend, you come in there, somebody, their mom passed away. So you go from a counselor to a coach to somebody crying on your shoulder. I mean, you become a mental health person. Now it's changed nowadays because we actually hire people to help us with that. But I've been in this game so long that you are a CEO and you do all those things, but football is a big part of it. I just feel like you got to be able to do all of it. But I think the other key is you got to be who you are. And some guys like, hey, I want to stay to the football, mostly football, which is also mostly CEO. But the way I've kind of done things, I've kind of done a lot of it, a lot of different things. But I allow guys to do their deal. I'm more of teach people principles and let them govern themselves. Don't try to micromanage too much. Just tell guys, hey, this is the way I want to do things, and let them go and run with it. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ken, you probably talked about it, but with the new FC Craig and stuff, his ties to Hawaii, are you guys going to, I'm not going to say be a mirror image of them, but a similar style?
It will be,
offense?
yeah, it'll be summer. I mean, it's.
You do your own little wrinkles.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess kind of what, Craig was at Hawaii with Rolo.
Yeah.
I mean, similar to that, but and in that time, he's also added a few more stuff that he did at Utah Tech and stuff he picked up at Texas State. But he was at Washington State too. But yeah, that's probably along the lines with his name.
So, your history at Navy, running the option, the games are shorter, because you run the clock and different things. Now, the games are going to be longer. You know what I mean? There's going to be more plays. So does that impact maybe how you may call a game offensively or defensively, knowing, am I making sense?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great question. I've spent a lot of time. If there's anything, I'm letting Craig run this offense, but if there's anything we talked about is game management.
Right.
So those are the kind of things I've tried to talk about, just because there's one of our formulas at any service academy was what we did at Navy, just trying to limit the time that the other guys had the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, just keep them off the field. I mean, not a rocket science, but it's pretty simple. They can't score if they're on the sidelines.
Right.
You know what I mean? So try to keep them on the sidelines. But with that said, what we're going to do, we're going to throw the ball more. But we're not going to throw the ball 80 times.
Right.
You know what I mean? We recognize that, and I recognize that you got to run the ball. And there's some places in this conference that maybe the weather is not going to be so conducive to throwing the football,
Right.
and you got to be able to run the football. So having some diversity there to making sure that you can run the football when you need to be able to get the shoulder arches, to be able to run the ball in the goal. So all of those stuff are
So
definitely.
I'm not real familiar with what he did at Hawaii, but were they like, we want to get up and snap the ball,
Multiple tempos.
immediate, or we want to we're going to snap the ball when we're ready. We're not going to rush this thing, and they're kind of a combination of
All of it. I think you have to be
keep the
multiple.
defense off.
Yeah, I think you have to be able up tempo and be able to do that, but you also have to be able to slow the game down when you need to. You know, people call it 4-minute offense.
Yeah.
You know, which at Navy we were always a 4-minute offense, just keep them off the field.
Right.
But you got to be able to do that, and that's all part of it. So.
And then one last thing, going to UCLA, what did you gain from that experience that can help you now when you're back as a head coach?
Invaluable. It was the best place. When after the Navy situation, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I told people I thought I was going to get into TV, and I had several interviews with networks, and I never got a second interview, so I recognized that was out. Had to lose some weight too, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. But going there and looking back at it now at UCLA is the best thing I could have ever done. Because Chip Kelly was good to me. I really didn't do anything. He allowed me to observe, be at any meeting I wanted to do, was at practice, traveled. I did everything. And he and I, if I had questions, I'd go and sit in and talk with him. And we'd discuss things that I kind of feel like only head coaches could talk about.
Right.
Stuff that we'd only see, things that I look at. Because when I went to practice, you know, I was telling something about something, I saw this in your drills. Like, when did you see that? But when you're head coach, you watch everything.
Right.
When you go out to practice, you are looking at everything. People's feet, how far apart your drills are, how long your drills are, where the balls are placed, what side of the sidelines are put on, where the camera's at, you know, how's the grass is cut. This year, you know, we had some geese problem with our grass. There's a lot of geese coming on there, so we had to put coyotes on, you know, fake coyotes on the field. And one day they forgot to put our coyotes out, and the geese came back. But yeah, those are the things you have to think about as a head coach. But at UCLA, I learned a lot from Chip. Just, you know, it was invaluable. I wouldn't be ready for this job because I learned about portal, NIL, recruiting. You kind of helped me.
So how many fake coyotes do you have?
The coyote happened at San Jose.
How many fake coyotes you got?
I think we got 4 of them. So.
You got names for them already?
We actually, I think we did have some names for them.
Where are they now?
They're in the shed. They're in the shed.
So you got to put them out every day, or just a certain time of the year?
At night.
But I mean, like all.
Yeah, they come out. Those geese, they're pretty smart though. If you don't move them around, they recognize like that thing's fake. So one morning I was trying to throw softballs at it to try in the morning to try to get them out of there, but that didn't work. Did you have?
I do, yeah, but it's okay.
Oh, just one last one. How surprised were you Chip went to Ohio State?
I guess I would say I was surprised, but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
Chip's a football coach.
Yeah.
He wants to coach ball, and he's as smart a football coach I've been around. I mean, his mind, I mean, he can recall things, like he would recall stuff of our games that I forgot about when I was at Navy. Hey, remember that game in 2000, whatever you guys did this? I'm like, how do you remember that? And so he's a football savant. I mean, he's a football, and he just wants to coach ball. And again, this is me. I don't think Chip wants to do all this stuff. You know what I mean? All the other stuff.
It's not a coach. I mean,
It's
not
changed.
coaching anymore.
Yeah, it's
You're
changed.
the CEO.
And I realized that coming here. That's why I knew I had to hire strong coordinators. They were going to do this, and I could go do NIL and different things like that. And so,
That's one I promise. Was Chip calling out plays at UCLA at the end? Okay.
yep.
All right, thanks.
Could you just talk about the type of culture that you're trying to build and what you want this new era of Spartan football to look like?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always kind of been simple. My culture has always been a family-oriented, you know, just aloha spirit, you know, from Hawaii, you know, family-oriented stuff. It's kind of what we did at Navy, same thing. And building a culture was, for me, is probably one of the, I don't know if the right word, but probably of the jobs, probably the easier thing for me, because I felt I just had to be me. I mean, cause kids see it too. I mean, that stuff. You try to put fake stuff on, they see right through that stuff. I knew as a player, I mean, that was the same thing. So I knew I had to be authentic. And the culture we're going to be is just a family culture. You know, just being from Hawaii, we're family oriented. We eat a lot. So we had a lot of family gatherings. You know, we eat together as a team, do a lot of things together as a team, and just try to create a culture of family.
Could you just talk about the quarterback battle? I mean, Kevin was in that spot for the last several years, but
Yeah, so right now it's between Walker, Emmett, and Xavier. Walker and Emmett were there this spring. We just got Xavier. He just got recruited there. He was, he's familiar with Coach Stutzman's offense, so that might help him, even though he wasn't there spring practice. But those two guys, Emmett and Walker, were there during spring practice. They did a good job, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see whoever comes out of it is going to be a really good quarterback. Whoever comes out of that three-headed monster battle is going to be a really good quarterback.
You bring up family, work in Boise. Your son once committed to be a Bronco. What do you remember about that, and why did you obviously at some point in time, encourage that decision?
Well, it was an awesome experience for my son. Coach Avalos, was his position coach. So I got to know Coach. He was awesome to my son. He had a great time on his visit, and he committed there. And I think he was super excited about going there. And for some reason, he had a change of mind. Had a change of heart. And so parts of me as a dad are kind of too like, go to Boise, you got a scholarship there. What you're gonna go to? What you're going to Utah to walk on? Just why don't you go there? But you kind of learn as a parent. You let your kids walk their own path. He loved his time at Utah, but there are times when he'd see certain guys playing like, oh, Dad, I was on a visit with him. You know what I mean? Look at how well he's done. And so he had nothing but nothing but good things to say about Boise. He didn't have anything bad to say about Boise, the coaches, or anything. It had nothing to do with that. It was just a feeling he had. He just felt like he was supposed to go to Utah, but it wasn't because of Boise. He just felt like something was calling him to Utah.
Do you have any impressions of the Boise football program?
Really, really good. I mean, they haven't changed. They're always. I feel like they're always not only one of the best football programs in our conference, but in the country, and that's been, for so long. I mean, Coach Peterson, even before that, I mean, they've been so good for so long. Coach Spencer's going to do an awesome job. I mean, I was at UCLA last year and I saw. I mean, they're a really, really good team. I mean, so I got to see them firsthand, and they've always, in my mind, I've always kind of felt like they've done things the right way. When I was an assistant coach at Navy, I felt like I was always going against them in recruiting, and I kind of prided myself as far as evaluating talent. Maybe this is back in the late 2000s, and I always prided myself in evaluating talent that maybe not everybody was recruiting. But now I'm not saying they came to me, but I'd offer them. Who else you? Well, Boise's off. Boise found you too, and they'd probably end up going to Boise. But I also knew if I offered somebody and Boise offered it, I was on the right guy, because I felt like they didn't worry about stars and recruiting stars. I felt like they recruited off what they saw. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, they're really good program.
One more for me. Talking with Nick yesterday, I think we all kind of had the thought when you got hired here is, oh, are they going to run the triple option? And Nick said there was a little bit of a moment of maybe internal panic where they were texting each other as a wide receiver and stuff like that. So in an era where you can lose the whole roster in the transfer portal, like how important was it to expedite that communication? Like, no, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, and I was telling someone in this profession, like somebody asked, "Oh, did you apply for such a job?" There's no applying for head coaching jobs. They happen like that. Like I believe, and I know I'm getting the days mixed up, but I think I was recruiting for UCLA on a Thursday. I got a text early that morning. You interested in a San Jose State job? From my agent said, yeah. I mean, later that day I was talking to the AD. Later that day I was on a Zoom call. I think within the next day I was interviewing. And so, well, I guess what I'm trying to say, I had to already have a plan in place if I was going to get another job. So I knew what I was going to do, because I knew those questions were going to come up. What are you going to run? So I had to have all this. I already knew who I was going to hire. So I had to act quickly, like you said, to make sure some of that stuff, didn't get lost.
That's one question on NIL, something that you've lived through at Navy. Obviously, the service academy members aren't eligible for NIL, but yet you see like the armed forces marketing using like UConn basketball, they're using other student athletes from other schools. And I don't know if you experienced it as much 2 years ago, but would that be a bit of a frustration to have to coach through that now? And should they be eligible for NIL?
Well, that's up to the government. I would hope they'd be able to get something. I guess the government still is like, hey, their NILs on the back end. You know, those guys. I was there for 25 years, and all the guys that I've coached are all doing well in life. You know, they end up getting, once they get out, they get great careers, and so I guess it is what it is.
So the last one from you. So you've been with Navy for so long. Did you ever identify yourself as a service academy coach? And has that identity shift? Have you had to kind of recalibrate in your mind?
Yeah. Not me. I mean, maybe people looked at me that way. I mean, I was. Some people asked if I was in the military. Am I in the military? 'Cause, no, they would definitely. They could not get me in the military. I'd have to lose a lot of weight. But no, I mean, just I didn't really. I looked at myself as a guy, a developer of people, and if they looked at me as a military coach, I mean, but it hasn't been an adjustment for me.